And we are back with the business voice. A bit different for obvious reasons. Nelson Mandela passed on, and here we pay tribute to Nelson Mandela and his legacy. The presenter of this segment is sitting next to me, Stevie B, and he'll tell us about his moments with Tata Nelson Mandela and his reflections on Tata. Stevie, hi.
Yes, good afternoon and good evening to you, Thabo.
Are you well?
Very well, thank you, yes.
I mean, where were you when the news broke last week?
I actually was up. I had just come back from a very late dinner, and I had put the TV on, and I saw it on TV for the first time. Then I switched to radio. So it was very soon after it happened that I was aware of it.
Yeah, but I mean, you have a great story. You've told me an amazing story, which I've been thinking about throughout this ordeal that we are suffering, the loss of Nelson Mandela. You met Nelson Mandela personally. If anything else, he called you.
Yeah.
Tell us about that call.
It's a story that I still have a lot of question marks about because I'm not really sure what it was all about. It was in 1999. It was in his last week as president of the country, and I was not in radio at the time. In fact, I was a stockbroker at a stockbroking operation in Johannesburg, and we had a trading desk. And the one day the phone rang, and I didn't answer it. Somebody answered it, and they said to me, "It's President Mandela's office on the line for you."
Yeah. And you're thinking rubbish.
Rubbish.
Yeah.
Up until the time I had no contact with Madiba, nothing at all. And I took the call and I thought it would be a secretary.
Yeah.
And I recognized the voice.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, he said, "How do you do?"
Yeah.
But then I suddenly thought at that stage, Jeremy Mansfield was on there and he was doing a very good Madiba impersonation.
Yes. So you thought it was a prank?
I thought it was a prank.
Yeah.
And the Madiba, or whoever was on the phone, he asked me how I was, and it was a Tuesday, I'll never forget. And he asked me whether I can come have lunch with him on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then go into Soweto with him and help him raise money.
Yeah.
Very luckily, I didn't fool around on the phone. I thought there could be a 10% chance that this is real, so go with it.
Which is unlike you.
What made me think it wasn't real, however, was that he proceeded to give me directions.
So you have the president of the country over the phone calling you, and he gives you directions to go to his house.
In Pretoria.
Yeah. What does he say?
I found that amazing. He said to me, I'll never forget, he said to me, "If you don't know how to get there, this is how you go."
Yeah.
And he proceeded to tell me to go into the M1 and which turn-offs to take. So I said, "Fine," and I put down the phone.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, a fax comes through. Those days we weren't using emails then. This is 1999. A fax came through with official letterhead inviting me to the president's house.
Wow.
And I obviously was very, very excited. I had to be there, I think, at 12 o'clock, 12:30. And I drove into Pretoria.
And you
I can't remember
late.
the name of those. Not the Haste, the 8 Haste, or...
it's
not Ten Haste is Cape Town.
It's Cape Town, yeah.
But it had its own name.
Oh, okay.
Which was the official Pretoria residence.
Oh, okay.
And I sat down in this enormous hallway. And I was alone there for quite a while. And you know, I'm getting goosebumps. As I'm telling you this, I'm getting goosebumps. He suddenly appeared down the stairs. There was a staircase, and in fact there was a lift as well. But he appeared down the stairs, just him by himself. And it was an awesome, in the true sense of the word, an awesome moment. And I stood up and greeted him. And I remember his first words were, "How do you do?" That's exactly what he said.
Amazing stuff.
And then he said to me, "You know, I know your uncle, Dr. Ali Bacher, and I know him well. I still wasn't sure why he had chosen me. In fact, to this day, I'm not sure, because he was choosing only very rich people at the time, like the Ruperts and the Ackermans.
And the Bachers, maybe they've got some influence as well.
I thought maybe he had confused me for my uncle.
Yeah.
But he couldn't have, because he asked after my uncle.
He spoke about him.
Let me cut back to the next segment. It was now 1 o'clock and we were going to have lunch. Just the two of us.
Oh my goodness.
The two of us.
How lucky can you get?
And we sat down, there were two waiters waiting on us.
Yeah.
And we started off with a salad, I'll never forget that. And then We had a fillet with fillet rossini, I think it's called, with chicken livers on top and vegetables.
Nice.
And then we ended off with the ice cream and chocolate sauce, and he drank a very sweet wine.
Yeah.
A late harvest.
Yeah.
It was in tiny, the smaller bottles.
Yeah.
I think it was Niederberg. And what is quite amazing about that is that his mind has told me he ate the same lunch every day.
Oh.
He had fillet steak for lunch.
Oh,
I
really?
think he was so deprived in jail that he only went for the best.
Yeah, yeah.
And he enjoyed his food. I could see that.
Well, some of us also have same things every time. But yeah,
exactly.
Amazing stuff. So tell me, Stevie, you are at the president's house having lunch with him one-on-one. What are you talking about as you are eating?
We're talking about his book because his book had been out for about 2 weeks. Long Walk to Freedom. Long Walk to Freedom. And what he was telling me at that lunch, which I'll never forget, is that he told me quite openly that he preferred P.W. Botha to F.W. de Klerk. And he told me that F.W. de Klerk was a fox. These were his words.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he told me P.W. Botha, he knew exactly where he stood with him.
Yeah.
That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
He said he never really trusted F.W. de Klerk, and he told me that.
My goodness.
Over the lunch. And then we discussed what we were going to do that afternoon. We were going to try raise money for the Albertina Sisulu after day care center in Soweto. We then took the convoy.
Yes.
I was not allowed to take my car. Obviously, I had to go in one of their cars, not with him, but in one of the cars. And we sped off to Soweto.
Yeah.
There was a crowd of around 1,000 people who had gathered there. And the world's media was there simply because the inauguration of Mbeki was to take place a week later. So the press was already in the country.
Yes, yes.
And he gave a talk. Now, you've seen my photos.
I have. I wonder why you didn't bring them. I've seen plenty of your photos.
I know. I'll tell you what I'll do. For the next week, I'll bring the photos.
Please. Yeah.
They're still hanging out at Kaife, but I will bring them. He then, out of the blue, asked me to say some words. Now, I had not prepared anything. But when Madiba asked you to speak, you don't decline.
But what are you going to say? Because, I mean,
spoke
this
for
is
about
a great...
5 minutes. Just about
What did you say?
Just about the greatness of the man.
Yeah, that's all that you can reflect on.
That's all I could reflect on.
Yeah.
And I gave my little talk there. And so I never had a camera because I was told not to bring a camera. And then I saw a photographer, and I said, my friend, here's my business card, please take photos. I don't care what it costs.
Yeah.
And I gave him my card, and it's a funny story because I never heard from him ever again. However, 6 months later, I get a big package in the post with all the photographs.
Oh.
He was covering the war in Kosovo at the time.
Yes.
And he was on assignment. But what a wonderful man. He was from Holland, from the Netherlands. And today I have the photos, and next week I will bring the photos. Story gets one better. He then, it was 3 o'clock, he said to me, what am I doing? I said, I have no plans, Mr. President. He said, I'd like you to come back to my home.
Oh, my goodness me.
So I got taken back to Pretoria, got back into my own car, and I went to his house in Houghton.
Yeah.
Where I met his wife, Grassa.
Yeah.
She served us tea and cake.
Oh.
And I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to say it now because we must bring out all the stories.
Yes.
His grandchildren were very tiny then.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
They were jumping on top of him, and they were, you know, like kids do when they release air. Should I say?
Yes. Yeah. Put it that way.
They were releasing air on Madiba, and Madiba was scalding them. He
Because
was
he's a
saying,
grandfather after all.
Grandfather.
Yeah.
You cannot do that to your grandfather. And I was numb. I then bid him farewell, and I drove home. And you know, I never would have told the story if I never got the photographs, because people wouldn't have.
I wouldn't believe you personally.
But you see the photographs.
I've seen the pictures.
You've seen the photographs.
Yeah.
And did I raise money for him? Yes, I did.
Yeah. How much?
Trust me, the ANC phoned me first thing the next morning. Where's our money?
Yeah, exactly.
And at that stage,
just bask in the
at that stage, I was stockbroking. We had very big corporate clients, and I raised R500,000.
Oh, lovely stuff.
Within
Well
a week
done.
for the centre, which is there today.
I mean, everyone is reflecting on this question, and I have to ask it, Stevie. What did you take away from Madiba the man personally?
Two things: his humbleness, from giving me directions to his house, and his concern for you, he was listening to what I had to say. And those things stick out. He honestly was interested in you.
Oh, man.
In what you had. I mean, the man is great. You know, had I not met him, I would have probably said he was great anyway.
Yeah.
From what I had seen. But, you know, to meet the man.
Yeah.
And just what a human, what an incredible, I mean, we won't see the likes of a man like that again. Nowhere in the world.
Nah, I don't
where
think so.
you know, a man that is, you know, I was a small fry. You know, at that time he was doing it with the Ruperts and the Ackermans and the Brian Joffeys. I was you know, when I tell you when I spoke, I know what I said. I said, I'm not a captain of industry, I'm a corporal of industry.
Yeah.
And I'm flattered to be here. He just, to why he chose me, I have to this day, I don't know where he got my name, and I have no idea where he got my number from.
And we'll never find out.
And we'll never find out. But I mean, a great man and a great legacy.
Great. Stevie P, thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful story with us here.
Well, we'll have a usual business show next week.
Sure. And I'm sure you'll have more great stuff for us.
And I'll bring my photos next week.
We can't wait.
Please look out for my photos. I will bring the two best photos, and I will show you. So just in case you don't believe the story.
I've seen the pictures. I believe you. I wouldn't have believed you had I not seen the pictures. But thank you so much for sharing the moments of Madiba. We'll see you after the break as we continue to reflect on the legacy of Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela.